From the Fantasy Armchair, it is the Fantasy TyRant.
Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. That's right, I'm back here in front of you, back in the Fantasy Armchair, with this handsome mug, gracing you with its presence once again. Sorry about all the absences and delays and tardiness. Turns out my computer can't handle the awesomeness of this great content. So it's taking some shits on me, nearly had me tearing my hair out. But after a few tweaks, I've got it running okay. Hopefully, I can get a new one soon. But first, I gotta make that Skrilla. And I don't have a lot of extra dough because I'm putting that aside to buy a house. See, a lot of things going, a lot of changes. That's gonna give me a new studio, a new area. Things are gonna get better. I'll have a new computer, new systems. I'm trying to learn some new programs and shit. Trying to make this show the best fantasy football show on the tube. Plus, I've got a toddler running around the house, a stressed mother to take care of. I've got a nearly 100-year-old man I take care of too. As you didn't know, I'm a caregiver, alright? So, your hospice nurse. Been helping the guy for 3.5 years, and he's been hitting quite a decline lately. He doesn't have a lot of time left, folks. So that means he's been needing a lot of my time. Carrying a 150-pound man around his house, not exactly a walk in the park. But as you can see, a lot of my time's been taken up by a lot of important things. Plus, my family's doing some stupid shit, and of course, I gotta take care of it because I'm the oldest in my generation on both sides. Still figuring out the set. As you can see, it's under construction. Was gonna take the chair on a world tour, but I decided to construct a new set instead. Just humor me, okay? As you can see, my face is still intact. It's just my life that's in shambles. It's okay. It'll get better. We're on the rise, okay? This is where, you gotta break some eggs to make a beautiful cake, right? And that's what's going on in my life. Breaking some eggs, it's taking some time. Unfortunately, time away from you guys. But it's all so that everything just gets better and better and better. Alright? It's gonna be worth it. You wanna help me out so I can help you out? You wanna see my awesome content continue? Then smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, hit the bell, share this with everyone you know, and hey, check out my Patreon down there in the description. You want your own fantasy guru in your pocket, answering all your burning questions? Hey, sign up on Patreon. I'll help you out. You can ask me any question anytime, but hey, try to keep it to fantasy football. Alright? I don't want to have to talk to you about that fantasy you have with the stripper and the hockey mask and the stuffed poodle, alright? Not my bag, okay? Enough of that bullshit. Here's 5 wide receiver steals that are going to help you bring home that championship. First up, Jeudy, Denver Broncos. I think that this QB competition in Denver is all smoke and mirrors. It's definitely Teddy Bridgewater's job. And Teddy's more of a throw-to-the-open guy QB than a throw-the-guy-open QB. Jeudy's a better route runner than Sutton, so I think he fits better in the offense with Teddy at the helm. His ability to get open will garner him plenty of touches this season. Worried about his low catch rate and high drop rate last season? Don't be. First of all, the slew of Broncos QBs that were throwing him the ball last season, including at one point undrafted wide receiver Kendall Hinton, weren't exactly all that impressive. Secondly, dude will be so open, a few drops won't matter, as Jeudy will be a target monster. No, the Denver passing game doesn't exactly pump my nads, but that's why I don't have Jeudy ranked even higher. His current ADP is 84th overall. That's the 34th wide receiver on the board. That means you can get him in the 8th or 9th round, basically a wide receiver 4, and his floor alone is wide receiver 3 or flex, with a high-end wide receiver 2 ceiling. And yet he's only being drafted as a wide receiver 4? Are you all on goofballs? What the fuck? I have him ranked as the 26th wide receiver, but his upside even makes that a steal. If you can get him in the 8th round, and it seems like you can, holy shit. This is why you get a stud wide receiver early on, and then you wait for the rest. Draft smarter, not harder. Alright, next up I got Brandon Cooks, Houston Texans. Listen, someone will be throwing the rock in Houston, and that means someone has to catch said rock. Will Fuller's gone, so who the fuck else is going to catch the ball? There you go, there's my analysis. Do I really have to say more? We know that Brandon Cooks is a talented receiver, and we know that the Texans are going to suck more than a hooker on New Year's, which means they ain't going to be running very much. So even if Tyrod Taylor's the QB, Brandon Cooks is going to get his. I see him putting up close to wide receiver 2 numbers on average, and his ADP is currently right around 100. Yeah, you heard me, 100. That's the 40th ranked wide receiver. Holy horseshit. I said it once, I'll say it again. This is why you wait on wide receivers. Get one stud wide receiver early, load up on running backs, get a stud tight end and a stud QB, and then think about getting more wide receivers. Because apparently, the top receiver and best player on a team that will be throwing the ball almost exclusively since they'll always be playing from behind will still be waiting for you in the 10th round. Shit like this makes my job easy. Moving on. I love me some Darnell Mooney of the Chicago Bears. At the beginning of last season, if you mentioned this guy's name to most people, they'd have just looked at you like you're shitting waffles on the sidewalk. By the end of the season, though, he was starting on a grip of championship teams. Mooney was seeing his fantasy points per game nearly double in the second half of the season. He was putting up over 10 fantasy points per game and was a solid wide receiver 3 over the last 9 games of the season. And now without Anthony Miller in his way, Mooney is the number 2 guy behind Allen Robinson. He's shown that he can produce at a high level when given the opportunity, and now he'll have it. So why in the titty fucking hell is his ADP at 140? Dude's being taken one spot ahead of Falcons kicker Younghoe Koo. That makes me want to slap you all in the bitch tits and revoke your fantasy football players card. This guy will produce at a wide receiver 3 or flex at least. Yet he's being drafted as the wide receiver 53? That's fucking bananas insulting. He's not even being drafted in some leagues. Even if you reach for him in like the 12th round or so, you're guaranteed to get a good return. I have him ranked as my 38th wide receiver off the board, and that's where he should be going. If I see any of you taking a kicker before this dude, I will come to your house and personally take a dump in your Wheaties. Next, Antonio Brown, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, he's had his problems and his personal demons to fight, but a championship ring may have been the cure he needed. As far as his on-the-field issues are concerned anyway. Earlier in the offseason, according to Jenna Lane of ESPN, Antonio Brown said, quote, "I'm just excited to be done with this stuff from the past. It's a new chapter for me. I'm excited to write it. I'm excited to be here." Sounds pretty good to me. We know he has the talent to be a top 10 wide receiver, and while for a multitude of reasons, I don't think he's going to come close to that this season. I certainly think he'll get enough attention from former bunk mate Tom Brady to outperform his ADP of 97, the 39th wide receiver off the board. He may be the third option in this offense, but this is the Bucs offense. That alone should make him a wide receiver 3 candidate, not a guy going undrafted in many leagues. Don't miss out. Get him in the later rounds of the draft and see how he does. He's a low-risk, high-reward player, and that's what you want to be snagging in the second half of the draft. And finally, Deebo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers. Be it Jimmy G or Trey Lance at QB, we all know the top target is going to be George Kittle in the Niners passing offense. But who's going to be number 2? A lot of people are saying Brandon Ayuk, but they're forgetting about Deebo. He's coming off an injury-riddled season, but is still sitting atop the depth chart at wide receiver for San Fran. And that's not just a formality. Deebo was looking like a stud in the making in his rookie season, and before the injury, he was looking to make good on that in his sophomore season. But he got injured, missed the first few games, and he just wasn't the same all season. But word out of training camp is that he's putting in a lot of work, and he's making huge strides to become a, quote, real pro. He wants to prove that he's the man in San Fran. Dude has a chip on his massive shoulder because everyone seems to have forgotten who he is.
Who? Deebo!
His ADP makes him a hell of a steal at 87, the 37th wide receiver off the board, but I can see him easily putting up wide receiver 3 numbers or better. So pick up Deebo in the 7th or 8th round or get knocked the fuck out.
Damn!
That's it for the steals, but here are some deep dives for you. Marquez Callaway, New Orleans Saints. With all the turmoil surrounding Michael Thomas, Troutman's injury, and Traquan Smith's health issues, Callaway has been a star in the preseason. Yeah, I know, it's just preseason, but the wide receiver core seems a little unstable and a bit fragile there in New Orleans. And the coaches love this kid. If you watch him on tape, he's got the potential to put up numbers in that Saints passing game. All he needs is opportunities, and if Thomas or Smith are out, he's gonna get them. He's going outside the top 100 in drafts, undrafted in most leagues. But he could be the number 1 option for Winston with everyone else in question, so this makes absolutely no sense. Obvious sleeper here. I probably didn't even have to talk about it, but like a chick with 3 tits, how could you not? I also love me some Jalen Reagor, Philadelphia Eagles. I watched this guy eventually meld into that offense last season, but this season, with all the hype around Devontae Smith, he's barely getting any attention from fantasy owners. Not sure why. He's a starting wide receiver on the team, and he's been building some chemistry with QB Jalen Hurts in the offseason. He's been quiet in preseason, but he was anything but quiet in training camp. We saw some flashes here and there last season, but I think he steps it up this season. And with Smith already dealing with some injury troubles, Rager could be very valuable as a stash on the bench. The Jalen connection could be a thing this season, worth a late round flyer to find out. I also like Terrace Marshall a lot. You remember last year in the draft when some dude walked up to the board and posted up the name Chase Claypool and you're all like, wait, who? Isn't that the dude from Primus?
Alright, I'm just joking around. I'm actually a huge Les Claypool fan, because Primus sucks.
Anyway, then you watched as this Chase Claypool guy started putting up big numbers week after week, and you felt like a dumb shit for not knowing who he was. Yeah, don't be that guy again. Terrace Marshall is this season's Chase Claypool, a second-round rookie who comes in as like the third or fourth guy in the depth chart for his team, but before you know it, he's at least the wide receiver too. I see that happening in Carolina. You see, as I said in my rookies episode, just like how Robbie Anderson had a great season last season because he teamed up once again with his college coach who considered him a pet project in Matt Rule, we've got a similar situation with Marshall and offensive coordinator Joe Brady, who was Marshall's passing game coordinator and wide receiver coach at LSU. Brady said that he couldn't wait to work with Marshall again, and it's shown in preseason where he's been the top producing wide receiver for the Panthers so far. No, the Carolina Pussycats aren't going to do a damn thing this season, but Marshall should still put up serviceable numbers and may become the top wide receiver for the team by the end of the season. Great for Dynasty, but still pretty good for this season, and since you can get him in the last round, he's definitely worth a shot. And finally, my double deep danger dive at wide receiver is Bryan Edwards, Las Vegas Raiders. Word out of training camp is that this kid was, quote, dominating the competition, including fellow second-year wide receiver Henry Ruggs. Aguilar's gone, and I think a lot of his 82 vacated targets will go to Edwards. He could be the top wide receiver in Vegas within the first few weeks of the season. The Raiders put up surprisingly the 8th most yards per game in the passing game last season, and someone's got to catch those balls. Sure, Waller the baller's going to get his share, and I'm sure Ruggs will too. But Edwards is looking like the better talent and could be putting up wide receiver 3 numbers in no time. And considering he isn't even being drafted right now, you don't have to pay to get him. Even if you've already drafted in all of your leagues, he's likely on the waiver wire in yours. So go get him before everyone else figures out who the top wide receiver in Vegas really is. This almost seems like cheating for a double deep danger dive, but it qualifies. So join me in looking like a genius and pick Edwards up.
So that's it for the steals, sleepers, and deep dives portion of the show. But here we go, ladies and gents. My top 70 wide receivers to draft this season. Just like the running backs, I've already talked a lot about some of these guys in my top 200. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But I will drop a few tidbits here and there.
I'm not overly concerned about the lingering effects of Diggs' knee injury earlier this month, just enough to bump him down one spot below Adams. Calvin, Jeffy, and DK being ranked above Nuke says less about Nuke and more about the talents of Calvin, Jeffy, and DK. Dude will be a stud, and he's in the same tier with those other guys. CeeDee Lamb's ranking is more based on where he'll end up than where he'll start out. Same with Amari Cooper. I think the balance of power gets flipped between these two wideouts as the season progresses. After 3 weeks, I might want to buy CeeDee Lamb and sell Amari Cooper. We'll see. Adam Thielen is a bit of a sneaker. Not quite a sleeper, but could quietly surprise the fantasy community that all but forgot about him. He's being drafted as a high-end wide receiver 3, but can still put up solid wide receiver 2 numbers. We all act like Joe Burrow's going to forget about T. Higgins this season just because Jamar Chase is there. Higgins and Chase will be working on opposite sides, with Higgins in the top spot, while Tyler Boyd fills his role in the slot. I like Higgins more than most because I saw what he did last year and still think he and Burrow have a connection. Trust me, with that weak O-line, Burrow will be forced to throw a lot, and there'll be plenty of targets for all three, but I still think Higgins is the guy. DJ Chark almost made my steals list because of how he's produced in the past versus where he's going in the draft. But with Trevor Lawrence struggling in preseason, I'm not sure how the wide receiver spot's going to work out there. Not sure who's the top guy or how many quality touches they're going to get. Anyone who tells you that they have the Jags offense figured out is lying. I still like Chark higher than most analysts just because he could produce when given the opportunity. Michael Pittman's another honorable mention for the steals list, and the uncertainty of the Colts QB play is also why he's not on there. But if Carson can get his cavalcade of crap under control, Pittman could be the next big thing for the Colts. Time will tell. Love his talent though. The Dolphins pass catchers offer up another enigma. Not sure how this will shake out yet, hence why I have them all bunched up near each other. In Dynasty, it's all about Waddle for sure, but don't sleep on Fuller, and Parker was to his dude last season. Could be an even distribution. I moved Russell Gage up a bit. I think Ridley will get a lot of attention, leaving Gage open. He could have a sneaky good wide receiver 3 type season. Some people have MVS over Lazard, but when he was healthy, Lazard was the clear number 2 at wide receiver for the pack. The return of Randall Cobb doesn't scare me. I think Lazard establishes himself as the number 2 target for Rodgers this season, maybe even ahead of tight end Robert Tonyan.
So there you go, freaks. The wide receiver show in the books. Hopefully, that'll help you get ready for your drafts this weekend. And don't worry, I've got the QBs, tight ends, kickers, and defenses all covered. Tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 2 shows. The QB show and then the tight end, kicker, defense show. So grab your coffee, grab a bowl of cereal, sit down in front of the tube. Hey, it's like Saturday morning cartoons, only for adults, right? Grab a beer if you like. I don't give a shit. You drink when you want. Again, thanks for all your support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I want to try to get to 200 subscribers before the beginning of the season. We only need like 39 to go. Hey, it can be done. Hit the notifications bell so you'll know when this content comes out. And I also want to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season. That way, I can start making a little money so I can continue to help you. That's right. Help me so I can help you. Subscribe. Check out my Patreon. You want a guru in your pocket to answer your questions? Hey, I'm here for you. I want to continue to put out this content that's going to help you all crush your league. But in order to do that, I got to have a living, right? So help me, help you. Like, subscribe, share with everyone you know. Friends, family, coworkers, even that boss of yours who wears the pants too tight to show off that ass you don't want to see. Because the Fantasy TyRant is back, baby, and better than ever. I've got some awesome things coming up in the works. Just watch.